Okay, continue on the notions of elitism. So it seems that the wise thing for us to do in life is to seek our own maximal advantage, to seek maximal personal thriving of ourselves, and to put ourselves in a position where we could best thrive and become what we desire to become. Ooh, check these out. So pretty. And anyone who spends too much of their lives, you know, self-sacrificing for others, I think this is kind of not a good thing. I think helping others should be kind of an unintended side consequence of your over richness and your overflowing, rather than you intentionally harm yourself to help others. But anyways, that's just my thoughts on altruism. So taking it back to notions of elitism. So elitism means that there's a certain hierarchy on planet Earth, and there are certain humans who are higher than others. So I don't necessarily think the goal is to become number one human on planet Earth. Like, in the way that people typically measure this is just like through like monetary wealth. So, you know, like, is it Jeff Bezos or is it Elon Musk or someone else? Because, okay, once you have a few $1 billion, there's only so many T-bone steaks you could eat, which doesn't have positive utility, and there's only so many Lambos you could buy before wealth actually doesn't have, there's certainly a law of diminishing returns on wealth, right? You know, there's only so much coke and so many hookers you get before you obviously burn out. So certainly that's not the goal of life. The goal of life isn't to have like 1,000 hot babes, to have like 500 Lamborghini cars, to have $1 trillion in the bank, to do all the drugs you want to do, never leave your apartment and stuff like that. It seems like the goal is for us to perhaps like do some sort of like philosophical inquiry or arts creation, and maybe freedom too. Freedom to pursue what we want to work on, and freedom to not pursue what we don't care for. So when it comes to elitism, essentially, I think it's also asserting that you're different. I mean, and this is actually kind of the ironic thing with society, is that people's like, oh, you know, like everyone's different, but at the same time, we gotta treat each other equally. So like, these messages are very contradictory, and you know, so often when I give people my personal opinions or thoughts, they're like, oh, but that's just your opinion. I'm like, yeah, I know that's my opinion. That's why I'm saying it. I thought we're all allowed to be equal and different. They're like, no, but you're gonna hurt my feelings. And then, so, you know, society is kind of weird, where there's a lot of like pettiness, I think, in modern society. And I think a lot of it is just kind of stemmed from fear, because we tend to live in a very fearful society. And I personally don't blame the individual. I kind of blame more of like, I don't know, societal trends or whatever it may be. But I do believe in free will. But I do think that there's a hierarchy of free will, is that some people have more free will than others. So for example, you the crackhead, of course you're gonna be able to exhibit less free will than the sober minded intellectual, or even the bodybuilder or whatever it may be. So I really think that maybe part of elitism is knowing that you personally are elite, you're of a higher class, you're of a higher stock, and it's not necessarily you looking at everyone else as inferior. I think it's just more of like, you're just kind of on your own zone, your own level. It's like you're an eagle flying in the sky and you don't see nobody else, and that's okay, right? It's not like, because I think also one of the problems that people do is that in order to feel higher, rather than self-elevating themselves, like flying higher, you're essentially kind of squashing people down lower. So imagine, so as an analogy, there's a difference if you're a spaceship thrusting your boosters and getting into outer space, versus you're still like at ground level and you're just throwing a bunch of people into holes in order to feel taller. So, oh, another bad example. It's like, imagine, you know, you want to feel more masculine, right? There's a difference between working out, eating more meat to make your muscles bigger, and that's example one, versus remaining the same in terms of your muscle strength, but forcing everyone to go on a pure, you know, rice diet and not eat food, force others to starve themselves and make them lose their gains. So this is also where one thing I find interesting about the whole gym mentality is that, like, a lot of guys at the gym quantify their self-worth via how strong they are in comparison to others, rather than just staying focused on their own zone and to set their own personal records and stuff like that. Because, like, ultimately, like with physical strength, right? One of my friends at the gym, his name is Rock, the dude could deadlift over 600 pounds like easy, right? But like, I don't care that he could deadlift more than me. I'm like, yo, that's impressive, that's cool. What I'm more interested in is how I could personally push my own PRs and my own personal records forward. So I'm competing against myself. So I think that's the personal goal, is to keep pushing your personal records to the next level rather than comparing yourselves to others. So maybe self-elevation is the goal, in which we're trying to self-elevate ourselves to the next level rather than something else. So essentially this is just, I guess, just kind of like a long-winded way of saying it's kind of pointless to try to compare yourselves to others, because you're different and you also should be different. And, you know, obviously we're all, you know, Homo sapiens, but if you think about it, give us another, you know, million years and we're all gonna look a little bit different and be different, right? So perhaps the goal is for you to direct your own personal self-evolution as far as you could take it. You know, have kids, pass on your seed, your genetics, teach them what you know and stuff like that. But in a general sense, I think what most philosophers have done in the past is that they try to help all of humanity evolve towards a certain goal. So in that way, the philosopher is some sort of tyrant or commander or whatever. But I would just say, basically speaking, at least for myself, right? I want to have kids. I want to pass on my genes and my genetics. I want to teach them my personal philosophies and stuff like that. And also, like, for myself, everything I talk with you about is just my opinion, it's just my thoughts. And it's not right or wrong. I just try to make it as honest as possible. I try not to self-censor myself. My thoughts are always changing and evolving, and I think that's what makes it fun. And a lot of the big reasons I make these videos, it's just kind of fun for me. Like, I don't make money off YouTube. I just keep doing it because it keeps me entertained. And I just, you know, obviously I care for other people, so it's like, I hope that some of these ideas I share with you could maybe spark some sort of motivation or inspiration in you to think, you know, more independently, think your own thoughts and stuff like that. So yeah, so homework assignment, make your own YouTube channel, start YouTubing, vlogging, whatever it may be, or simpler put, start your own website, blog, bluehost.com, install wordpress.org and stuff like that, and thrive on.